would you please put your hands together and give a very warm welcome to your host and compere for the evening, Professor Liz Black.
Oh. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Centre for Unethical Needless Test Studies. During lockdown, we conducted several experiments on comedians. We've been inquisitive and penetrated in our research. First, our experiments were simple, and our findings unsurprising. We discovered comedians can go for up to 1 week without food or sleep, about 4 days without beer or gin, and about 10 minutes without attention. In the now infamous stand-up prison experiment, we gave half the participants the role of guard and the others smoky bacon crisps. The results were quite frankly terrifying. Participants became either power hungry, vegan, or frazzled. Today, we present to you the participants of this experiment so you can judge for yourself significant impact lockdown has had on them. Now, we do ask you to follow a few simple guidelines. Now, firstly, as a result of the experiment, our comedians are damaged and quite easily startled. Yeah. So please try not to make any unexpected loud noises. Don't leave your mic on if you're going to have an argument with your significant other, household donkey, whatever. We are, however, still conducting experiments on these people. So please do use the chat function to insult, heckle, etc., so that I can see the impact this has on their self-esteem. If you do heckle in the Zoom, we will mute you, or I will pop round to your house and put you in a straitjacket. We do ask, however, that you clap and cheer as loudly as possible so that we can monitor the results of the impact that has on the ego. So can we just, first experiment of the evening, have a little go at applause so I can judge your applaud technique. Can I just see you do a quick bit of applause, please?
Whoa.
Okay, I'm just going to put that down as interesting. Can I just ask you to do that one more time?
Yeah, sure.
I would like to see applause in order to boost someone's self-esteem, please.
That's amazing.
Okay, brilliant. So the first of our guinea pigs was a fine, upstanding member of the Scottish nobility until we locked him in a room with only the Daily Record, the Proclaimers, and a slinky. Now he slides down the stairs and refuses to even walk the 500 yards to the corner shop. Please, to the stage, Jimmy, if you go, will you send back Longmuir?
Cheers, thanks very much, Liz. Well, actually, the first experiment we conducted was to see if we could get rid of my Glaswegian accent, which didn't work.
No.
So you might struggle to understand what I'm saying, but I'm going to warn you, if you don't laugh, I'm going to put this on and make it worse. And for more local people, I've actually been walking about with my set written in my hand all day, so if you happen to see me in the supermarket, I'm sorry for the spoilers, but you know, if you could read the jokes, you were standing too close. Obviously, I'm here to tell some jokes, but you know, given this format, I feel like I should be issuing like a clear assurance to the camera, like, I'm okay, no one's hurt me, they're feeding me, but can you please make sure the funds are transferred by close of business on Friday? I look like the feature presentation in an ISIS broadcast, which is fitting for feeling like I'm going to lose my head in this fucking lockdown. But actually, we've been doing this workshop for a while, and it actually reminded me of how I started doing comedy. I started doing comedy in a workshop a couple of years ago. It was a really cool place to learn how to tell jokes and handle an audience and things. And every time I would go in, the guy would say, what happens in the workshop stays in the workshop. But then he put it all up on fucking Facebook. He used to tell me I was brilliant, and I thought I was really brilliant at comedy until I noticed he said that to everyone. He put a positive spin on everything. He would have probably told Fred West that at least he built a good patio. But I kept doing comedy when I finished that workshop because I had nothing better to do. I was unemployed. In fact, a few weeks after I started, someone phoned the Department for Work and Pensions, which is where I got my benefits, and told them I was making a lot of money from comedy. That really hurt at first until I thought about it. And you know what? It's nice somebody thought I was making a lot of money doing comedy. The man from Department of Work and Pensions says the fact that you're doing comedy proves that you don't have a debilitating mental illness. And I was like, you're going to have to wait till you see my set before you can make that call, mate. And I found out through all that I'm actually allowed to earn £120 a week and claim benefits. So I'm going to be doing both for at least another 6 years.
Nice one.
But one thing I learned in that workshop was the guy told me to be yourself. Well, here I am, completely alone in my house doing comedy on my phone because I'm desperate for validation. And it's not the best advice for me anyway. I mean, I'm a paranoid, anxious and depressed, recently bereaved, unemployed, recovering addict suffering from symptoms of complex PTSD. And I've been under lockdown for a year. You're not ready to see me be myself. And it's not the best advice for everyone. I mean, would you say that to Jeffrey Dahmer? Be yourself. I can imagine Jeffrey Dahmer going into work one day ready to confess to all his crimes, and he'd go up to a co-worker like, oh man, I have to tell you something. I keep getting drunk and going to bars and hitting on younger guys, and then I bring out my sleeping tablets. Some fucking idiot in the chocolate factory's like, Jeff, it's all good. Just be yourself. And Jeffrey Dahmer's walked away thinking it's okay to keep heads in the fridge and bodies in the freezer. There's probably a need that tells Boris Johnson to be himself every morning, and I'm sure that was advice given to Joe Biden shortly before he was outshone at his own inauguration by a man in mittens.
I love a mitten.
At least you're not Donald Trump, Joe. But, see, I'm quite new to comedy, but I'm not new to public performance. I actually used to DJ. I DJed for years and years doing like raves and festivals and things like that, but it wasn't too safe. It was a very dangerous occupation, especially when you're in a car going to Glastonbury and the driver turns around and says, can you hold this steering wheel while I take a line of coke? We used to experiment with drugs when I was DJing, and that wasn't too safe either because no one ever used lab coats or goggles or anything like that. I remember going to see The Matrix when I first started DJing. That's how long ago it was. And it was sat in the cinema and it was like red pill or blue pill. And I just thought, fuck that, man. Give me both. Give me the pink, purple, and black ones as well. I've never taken one tablet of anything in my life. Dream on, Morpheus. But it was a bit of a hectic lifestyle and I actually got in a bit of trouble over it. I get sentenced to 3 months. And in Britain, we've got a charge. And the literal wording of the charge is being concerned in the traffic of LSD. And I get sentenced to 3 months in prison under that charge, which is fucking unfair when you think about it, because who wouldn't be concerned in the traffic? Especially when LSD's involved. And I was set up by a close friend over that, but I didn't hold any grudges. In fact, a few years later, I even went to his funeral and it hadn't even been me that killed him. All my friends said they just went to piss in his grave. And I was like, don't be silly, man. He's getting cremated.
Oh.
But I've got to say, jail worked. Jail done its job because I was fully rehabilitated when I came out because I was a junkie. But I got in a methadone program when I came out. But I realised it wasn't going to be quite so simple when I was watching a documentary about Harold Shipman. Now, Harold Shipman's a British serial killer who was also a GP. And his modus operandi was to enter the homes of his elderly patients and administer a massive dose of diamorphine. So I knew it was going to be a bit more difficult when I sat there thinking, fuck me, man, I wish I could get a visit from Dr. And you know, when I finally did give up drugs, it was actually out of spite, believe it or not. Like, I went to get a gallbladder operation and the doctor refused to do it because he said I still smoked, I was too fat, and I had so many opiates in my system, they had to run a second test to make sure I wasn't the resurrected corpse of Sid Vicious. So I went home and didn't smoke, ate better, and didn't take any drugs. And if you can imagine that, it's like the world's shittest training montage. I mean, not doing those things. And I went back all puffed up, like, see, I don't smoke. I eat better and I've stopped taking drugs. And the doctor was like, yeah, all right, you're not, or we'll take your fucking gallbladder as long as you make sure you piss off right after it. And I'm kind of hoping I won't need an operation during lockdown because I'm back on 60 cigarettes a day. I could comfortably cosplay as a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man with just a tin of white paint and a daft hat. But I've not been taking any drugs, regrettably. Yeah, but when I did get off drugs, it was actually just in time because I had to become a carer. My mum was LMS and I had to become a carer. I was actually a carer for 8 years. Had like a personal lockdown almost. I had no social life. And in 8 years, I barely had any sex. At least of all with her.
Oh.
But you know, she passed away a couple of years ago and I got my life back and I got into the world of online dating. But see, when I first joined Tinder, I was very careful to point out in my profile that I wasn't just looking for sex. And I think most of the people that seen the profile thought, just as well, you're not fucking getting any. The one thing I found out about Tinder, though, it's actually almost got a perfect symbol. It's a little circle with a flame inside. And all it's really missing is a little pile of ashes that used to be human hearts directly underneath it. You know, I'm 44 now, and I look at millennials, and I think they're kind of fucked up. But I think I'm going to have the last laugh when the Tinder babies come out. Like, there's going to be all these kids jumping about whose parents met in dating apps. I mean, can you imagine? I know my own parents' story for how they met better than Marty McFly did, and he was fucking there twice. Well, what the Tinder baby's parents' story is going to be like, he'll be like, yes, son, first time I ever seen your mum, I had to swipe right because she had an excellent trout pout. Oh, yeah, it's a brilliant story, Hen. First time I ever met your father, I accidentally swiped left. But they brought in a function where you go like that and they come back and here you are. Crack story. I actually came off Tinder a while ago because I got in a relationship, but it was actually a relationship that ended up so toxic, you could have used its energy to get a DeLorean back to 1985. So I'm realising that's my second Back to the Future reference, but I think you're allowed 3, so.
You're obviously tired of your time.
But it was okay at first. It actually turned out she was into BDSM, which is something I wasn't too familiar with. My personal philosophy with BDSM is it's okay to order toys and stuff like that off a wish and, you know, read 50 Shades of Grey if you fucking absolutely must. But if you find yourself in a city centre dungeon, obliged to address some off-duty security guard as sir, you probably went too far. But yeah, she was into BDSM, and I only found this out on our second date when she appeared on my doorstep wearing a French maid's outfit, and she asked me to tie her this black swivel chair I've got in the middle of my living room. So I complied with her wishes and tied her this black swivel chair in the middle of my living room. And when I done that, she said, you can do anything you want to me. And I was like, kind of getting that from the fact that you're tied to a black swivel chair in the middle of my living room. I didn't think we were rehearsing for a kinky mastermind. Although by that point, if she'd asked me to stop, I genuinely don't know if I'd have just said I've started, so finish. And I actually turned out she was into dogging as well, and I get really excited about that until I realised that neither of us had a car.
What are you like?
She was into other things as well. She's into arts and crafts and dance and all types of fiction and dress up that I'd never heard of, like steampunk. And I don't know if you know what steampunk is, but it's basically Victorian era cyber fiction, which is where I think she picked up such effective gaslighting skills.
Oh.
Yeah, no, fuck that joke up. I'm not going back.
Go ahead, Jen.
It's a good joke, so. But I mean, like I say, it was a toxic relationship, and I played my part in how messed up it got as well. Like last night, we're in bed together. She told me I was selfish. She said I was ignorant. And you know, she said something else, but I can't remember what it was because I was having a wank at the time. But yeah, we split up and I just went daft on Tinder. By that point, I was actually loads of photos of myself I was using on stage. And every girl I spoke to was just like, you're just looking for material, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, have you got any? You know, all these crazy dates. And Actually, at that point, I ended up getting loads and loads of Tinder match, and I was ready to come off Tinder, and then I noticed I had 187 matches. I was like, bet you I can get to 200. Like, I thought there was going to be a fucking prize or something. And I got to 200, and it turned out there was a prize. I get fucking banned. And I think my Tinder's biggest prick badge is in the post. Apparently, when you match with 200 people with absolutely no intention of talking to them, some of them don't like it. But I wouldn't be able to use Tinder just now anyway, because we've been in lockdown. Been in lockdown for nearly a year, and it's fucking crazy, man. It was okay back at the start. I was keeping myself busy and going around long walks in my neighbourhood and things. In fact, one day I went pretty far and found myself somewhere that was technically very crowded, although everyone stayed at least 6 feet away, so that was good. But all the same, I never went back to that graveyard. And I managed to keep myself safe, well and busy. Back at the start of lockdown, mainly I kept myself busy by assuring everyone I know in different apps that I was safe and well. By 3 months in, whenever anyone texted me to ask how I was doing, I felt like texting back, I'm doing the same as you, I'm pretending everything's fine, now fuck off. And like I said earlier, I served a short prison sentence 20 years ago, and I've never ever been able to describe prison to people just now, because people have always asked me what prison is like. Now I can tell them. Prison was almost exactly like this lockdown, except I didn't have to put up with your partner and kids. And I knew when it was going to be over. And I get sick of wanking in lockdown. I mean, I didn't even know you could get sick of wanking. Every time I went to do it, I knew how the Queen must feel about Prince Andrew. I mean, it was flesh and blood. I just didn't want to look at it anymore. And I blame 5G for that. I think the conspiracy theorists are right about 5G. And I thought 5G was going to be a good thing for shut-in porn addicts. I mean, even monkeys in captivity get to enjoy a little wank from time to time. I know that for a fact, because that was an awkward family outing. Although, if you were a zookeeper, what could you do about a monkey that keeps wanking anyway? I'm sure it's much harder to explain to an 8-year-old why your monkeys don't have any hands. And it's all the things that's going on. I like to drink my coffee with the powdered milk substitute coffee, mate. Going into the shops these days and just saying, have you got any coffee, mate? And the guy's like, yeah, there's a coffee there, mate. And I'm like, no, the coffee, mate. And the guy's like, why did you say mate twice? Like, I mean the milk stuff. And he's like, milk's round the corner. And I'm like, no, the coffee, mate. And he's like, there's a coffee, mate.
Mate.
And I'm like, the powder stuff. And he's like, the sugar's next to the coffee. And I'm like, no, I mean the coffee, mate.
Aye.
So I just drink my tea. I just drink my coffee black now. And I've actually been lucid dreaming. Does any know what lucid dreaming actually is? Yeah. It's like when you can control your dreams. It's like being in Minecraft or the Matrix or something. You can basically do anything, except I find myself having sex with a surprising amount of people. And then I wonder, am I really lucid dreaming or just dreaming that I'm a pervert? I wasn't looking. That was rhetorical. Don't answer that. Loads of crazy thoughts as well in lockdown, like drink driving. Like the driver that took me to the festivals, like he was drunk. Do you know what I mean? Like people didn't used to bother that much about drink driving. When did that actually become such a terrible crime? Like, I know nobody should drink drive. It's disgusting to get in a car when you're drunk, but it didn't seem to matter years ago, you know. Like, in fact, people used to get in an accident, and if the police came and asked them if they were drinking, it was usually just out of mild curiosity. And if the answer was 3 pints, the only thing the police would take note of was the fact that they couldn't hold their drink. People actually used to leave the scene of an accident to go and get another couple of drinks so that they wouldn't look like a lightweight when the police got there.
Just to calm down.
But yeah, and I keep hearing that song Rehab on the radio as well, and it's fucking annoying me, man. I can't listen to that. Rehab by Amy Winehouse. When you think what happened to Amy Winehouse, it's like listening to Buddy Holly do a song about airplane safety or John Lennon do a song about assassinations. But yeah, but you know, actually, been talking about Tinder there, and I actually managed to get a little Tinder date tonight. It was actually going okay at first. I figured because we're coming out of lockdown, it would be okay. And I went to the park for a coffee with this girl, and we were going on really well. And she seemed to like me, and I definitely liked her. And at one point, I leaned over to take her hand, and she looked at my hand and walked away. And at first, I thought it was because I'd breached social distancing. And I said, wait, where are you going? And she turned around and she said, why the fuck do you have BDSM, dogging, toxic relationship, gaslighting, wanking monkeys written in your fucking hand? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you think that's like too literal a way of wearing your heart on your sleeve? And it always seems to be that wee bit of my set that I need written down. Maybe I just need to iron out the kinks. All right, man. Cheers. Thanks very much for listening to my madness. Cheers.
Yay! Woo! Oh, brilliant. That's fantastic.
Very good.
We're going to let our own special wanking monkey go back to his city centre.
Bye.
But can you all give another big round of applause for Jimi Longmuir? Cool. Right. So the next unfortunate lab rat.
It's a bit naughty. It's a bit cheeky.
Is that heckling? Was that a heckle? Because heckling has to go in the chat for experiment. I need to be able to record your heckles. If you want to continue heckling, I will turn up at your house. Potentially, I'll walk on your pair of boots, if you like it or not. Okay, so we aimed to experiment on just how posh a tranny our next comedian is. Now, we deprived her of 3 major food groups: Mary Jo lingerie, Belgian chocolate, and Estee Lauder makeup. She surprised us all by fashioning a pair of bloomers from her prison issue sheets and using porridge on her face. No one was impressed by how she substituted chocolate. So, put your hands together, but not in prayer, for the mistress of the dirty protest, Donna Landy.
Woo! Thank you very much for that lovely introduction, Liz. Or should I call you Prof? Yeah, it's lovely to be here. My full name is Donna Isabella. So I sound like a mafia godmother. But I'm Jewish. So it's not so much hoping that nobody shoots you in the temple as being bored to death in a temple and hoping that somebody would. I was raised to be a good Jewish boy, but now that I'm a bad Jewish girl, I'm so much better. Now, seriously though, growing up trans and Jewish is no picnic. So if this applies to you, I'd like to give you a tip. Unfortunately, I've no longer got one. Don't get me wrong though, I'm not against male circumcision. In fact, if you ask me, I think they should be doing about 6 inches more of it. Now, people often think they've seen me somewhere before. It certainly wasn't RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm trans. I'm like this 24/7. Fuck off. If it was anywhere, it would have been the Undateables. Dressed like a woman, I sound like a man, and I'm hung like a gerbil. Just a bit about where I live. I come from the lovely county of Devon. We have rolling green hills, sandy beaches, and a complete and utter absence of apostrophes. What is that about? Our local second-hand shop has this sign outside. It says, if you don't see what you're looking for, please ask inside. You're, Y-O-U-R. I went in, I said, listen, mate, I was looking for an apostrophe, but I don't think you got any. He said, you're joking? I said, well, kind of depends on whether there's an apostrophe in that or not. I said, listen, if you're going to carry on like that, you're going to end up with something up your colon. I said, well, first of all, I might enjoy it. And congratulations, you've managed to find a way to end a sentence with a colon. As you can tell, I am a bit of a posh snob, originally from Cambridge. You might know this. There is a bit of rivalry between Cambridge and Oxford. You heard of that? Just a little bit. Yeah. It was actually all settled in 1954 in the intervarsity Scrabble match, when some bright spark realized that the two words Oxford and Cambridge both scored exactly the same, 17. Who knew? Except that Cambridge uses up all your letters and you get the 50-point bonus. Woohoo! In your face, Oxford. Now, J.K. Rowling, she couldn't get into Oxford. Oh. But she did get concussion and whiplash and a £200 bill to repair the trolley. Talking of people I've got absolutely no chance of dating and even less interest, has anyone else been doing any virtual dating during lockdown? Apart from Jimmy, Tim the Queen. I have actually got a couple of girlfriends at the moment. These days, I think we call that being polyamorous, which is nice. Back in my day, we just called that being unfaithful. Sorry to anyone who is actually polyamorous here. I know that's not how it works. Anyway, one of my girlfriends is like me. She's trans, which is nice. The only thing is she's not really out yet. So most of the time she's a he. And I didn't know whether to call her my girlfriend or my boyfriend. So I thought, all right, I'll just call her my boyfriend. Unless she's Jewish, in which case I'll take her home to meet my folks. Mom, Dad, there's good news and there's bad news. Yep, she's called John, and you can forget about any grandchildren. Now, talking of being trans, pronouns can be quite hard, can't they? Come on, we're amongst friends here. It's all right. It is hard. And look, of all people, I should know better. But to be honest, I did really find it hard to call her she when I'd just had a really big fat fantasy about having a nice big suck on her lolly. BDSM is all the rage these days. I was wondering about S&M and then it hit me. I found it really hard to get into bondage and I tried to iron out all my kinks, but the vinyl just melted. It's one for the older generation there. I do have to confess, though, I am quite needy in relationships, but being a lazy programmer does have its advantages because I can write my own app to send all the messages. First day, it sends 100 messages, right? Says, do you really love me? Second day, it sends 100 messages saying, oh, you're just saying that, aren't you? Third day, one message. Why is all my stuff in bin bags in the front garden? Sad but true. Lesbian dating. It's wild. Just throwing that out there in case anyone was considering it. Totally worth going trans for. That appears to be doing some rather strange things at the moment. I mean, listen, sometimes there's as many as 8 lines between hi and are you wet yet? Now, she definitely hadn't read my profile. And the chat up lines are brilliant. Things like, Donna, you have lovely eyes. Donna, I love your picture. Wet, wet, wet. I can see some of the lads in the audience furiously taking notes. Yeah, probably not that last one, though, lads. All right, just saying. But it does beat high, doesn't it? Get a lot more responses. Just try that. Just a little tip. Well, how about this one? Just before Christmas, I'd like to find you in my stocking. You can come down my chimney anytime. Well, to be honest, the chimney was just a little bit too dirty, even for me. But I did quite fancy being in her stockings. So I looked her picture up on the internet. And friends, I found loads of pictures of her on the internet in various stages of undress. I wasn't so much upset that she was a porn star. I'd been catfished. It was the site they were on. Idealwives.com. Ideal wives? It's wives! For fuck's sake! I even had this guy hit me up the other day. I mean, how cocksure do you have to be, right, to try and pick up girls on a lesbian dating site? To be fair, I am a little cocksure myself. I have got a little cock, and I'm quite sure I don't want it. So anyway, right, this guy, Kadir from Egypt, come in. Being heckled by a bell. This guy, Kadir from Egypt, he put his location as, and I'm kidding, I'm not kidding you, this is serious, Al Jizya.
Oh.
Is that a town or an offer I couldn't refuse? What is their tourist slogan? Thanks for coming. He said he was looking for a girl who was real, honest, and easy. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Oh, man. Yes. Well, there was Mary from Scranton, Pennsylvania. She had a doctorate, which really turned me on. And she had a huge 6-figure salary. Mm. The only thing was, right, the first half of her CV was written, her profile was written in lowercase. I've just ruined this joke. Oh, God. First half of her profile was written in lowercase, and the last half was in big, shouty capital letters, which is a bit like applying for your job with the CV written in crayon. She said, "You're very stunning," with no apostrophe. So I got her back. I wrote, "You're not bad yourself," with no apostrophe. She said, "Oh, I see you're bi-curious. Have you really never been with another woman before?" I said, "For fuck's sake, I'm a trans woman with 2 kids. You do the fucking maths." Anyway, I'm going to leave you with this thought, right? Unfortunately, I've had to cancel my Edinburgh show this summer. Oh. Thanks. That normally gets a lot more sympathy.
Sorry, sympathy.
They are cold as fucking ice. Anyway, I'm off to Thailand this summer to get my surgeries done.
Whoa.
Thank you. And I'm looking for a trans man who'd like to do a little bit of experimental surgery so I can donate my thingy. Now, that way, if we hook up, right, I can do what people have been begging me to do for a really long time, which is quite literally go and fuck myself. Thank you very much. Good night.
Yay! Woo! Donna, so we're releasing Donna to head off to Thailand via Al Jazeera. That's what we've dreamed of doing. All the best, Donna. I hope the experiment hasn't disturbed you too much. A massive round of applause for Donna Landy. Okay, so when it comes to happiness experiments, we could not have had a better subject than our next one. Now, despite our best efforts to break her spirit with our jokes about dating on Tinder, drawers full of gadgets and wanking, we had absolutely no effect on her whatsoever. We believe that the secret of her resilience is the unicorn that she smuggled into her cage and the fairy bringing her sustenance in the moonlight. Please, could you give a magical, mystical welcome to Ishi, the funny Khan?
Oh.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It is so lovely to be here and see all these lovely, lovely faces, really relaxed on their sofas at home. That's all wonderful. I've showered especially. The top half. Saved some water, you know. So I was born in Zambia, the world's only Christian state. And my Muslim parents, they sent me to a Catholic school. They said it was their way of teaching me about contraception. Bring Muslim, and if the guilt from that is not enough, magnify it, send her to a Catholic school and make her cockshy for life. Well, it nearly worked. My first kiss was at university. I caught up pretty quickly after that. So the reason I moved to the UK was for further education. That's the official line. But in reality, I was petrified of the puberty chat with my parents. You know, the kind of chat that most parents are actually more embarrassed to give. They're so embarrassed that they would rather just leave it up to school or the internet or to Rihanna. A chat that would have gone a little bit like, sit down, we have pictures. Engineer, a doctor, a lawyer. Which one for husband? Well, I was way too much in the moment to think that far ahead. And anyway, I would rather have a degree cap than a wedding tiara. So I scarpered all the way to the UK. I arrived here to think, now, where is the least likely place they are to find me? And that's how I ended up in Luga Baruga. Luga Baruga is in the heart of rural England. If you don't know it, it's next to a city called Leicester. That sounds like a chapter from a self-help guide for a title like How to Be a Deviant Nun. Talking about how-to guides, right? I've recently been wondering how to go about dealing with Facebook friend requests from total strangers. Generally, I tend to accept. I think they've put in the effort, so give humanity a chance. And hey, it's the universe, you know, trying to connect us all, and we are all one. Let's do this. I get a request from an Ayurvedic astrologer, a spiritual yogi. And I'm like, oh, Vedic astrology. I know nothing about that other than, did the yoga teacher mention it last week? Oh, and here you go, universe. You've just landed the Vedic astrologer in my lap. Yes, absolutely. So accept. And within seconds of accepting, I get, are you single, spiritual woman? So this is what I heard. Oh, spiritual woman, are you single? I want to know. I wasn't expecting that. Online dating's not really my bag. I mean, it's a bit too 2D for me. Imagine. No, it kind of lacks depth. And I can't imagine it being deeply satisfying on the whole. I mean, if you met them in person, how would you know that their penis is not just a piece of paper? So I replied, laughing emoji, hi to you too. And he sent back a few emoji, 4 laughing emojis, and I'm looking for a spiritual woman for a relationship. So I've got to hand it to him. He's fast. He's really forward compared to the other Indian guys who normally just go hi. I'll go hi. They'll go hi. I'll go. It goes on for about 13 messages before I just go fuck this. Move on. So I say to him, I see. So isn't everyone spiritual? To which he says no, because not everyone can laugh on themselves. They laugh on others. I went, that's a very interesting definition of spirituality. Right, actually, by Donald Trump. spiritual, though. Isn't he got his shit together so he knows exactly what's going on? And this is beginning to feel a bit too Tinder for me. So I check out his profile. And he's got long hair. Which I like long hair. I mean, it's very Jesus-y, or Captain Jack Sparrow. Okay, different kind of spirit, but you get my drift. And I look at his pictures. He's not smiling in any of them, let alone laughing. So I say, "Bless you." To which he says, "So you're not single?" I went, "Hey, I don't really think of myself as single. It's not like I'm a loaf of bread waiting to be sliced up into single slices, right? It's not like I'm a pot of cream with a great big label across it, single. I mean, what's the difference between single and double cream anyway?" What does a cream have to do to actually be accepted by society? I'll tell you what, it has to have 3 times more fat, and I'm not willing to do that. No. Double cream is easier to whip. Single cream can't really go around whipping itself, or maybe it can, but that's a different helpline, right? So I'm thinking, well, this guy, right, he's this spiritual yogi, so he's got everything together. So I say to him, I mean, come on, so what exactly are you looking for? What do you feel that the other person's going to fulfill in you that you don't already have? Don't you believe in non-attachment and everything? And he replies, love and sex. Friendship and romance, you bless me, so I thought you are not single or not willing to have a relationship with a beloved and live with a man. I'm like, whoa, we have only just friend requested here. And talk about super fast. But more importantly, how do you translate bless you to actually meaning you're not single? So that's the bit I really want to know about. So I say, interesting, you've come to a huge conclusion because of bless you. Do tell me more. To which this Indian spiritual yogi then replies, he is 43, he lives in India, he's a writer, astrologer, farmer, he's been a virgin for 39 years of his life, he married a Swedish nurse, she divorced him, went off to become a nun, and he's been on his own since 2017. Oh my God, there is so much to unpack right here. Okay, so firstly, he tells me his age, 43 years old. So he actually believes in aging. There is no such thing in the spiritual realm. As Einstein said, time is an illusion. So, big red flag. Secondly, 39 years of virgin. What were you doing all that time? I thought I was a late starter kissing at university. Suddenly, what were you doing? Porn, that's what you were doing, right? Porn, not just any porn, Swedish porn. That's what you are. Swedish porn, and you know it so well that the moment you come across a Swedish person, the moment you come across a Swedish person, you don't just let yourself in gently. Go and marry her. You go and marry her, right? And what the hell happened there? What happened to her to say, do you know what? I'm never going to have sex again. I'm going to go off and be a nun. I never want to see cock again. You know, for me. I mean, were you so spiritual? Do you have a magic wand? Is yours a magic wand that just goes, hey, I'll spiritualize you to the point where your hymen regrows and you can become a virgin again and then want to be a nun? In which case, you could be the cure for lots of sex addicts. Or were you actually like so full up for 39 years that the moment you had sex, you lasted 3 seconds. And she went, hey, that's the worst experience ever. Do you know what? After that, I not only want to see no more cock, I want to forget about all the cock I've ever seen. So I'm going to go to a nunnery and pray for that, right? Or was it actually that you are so good in bed, so good in bed that she just went, do you know what? I know this is the best I could ever have. And after this, it's all going to be downhill. So might as well leave on a high and go and become a nun. Or was it that on your wedding night, because let's face it, if you do the maths, they only had sex once, okay? So or was it that on your wedding night, you actually watched The Sound of Music? So I've not replied to this guy. I don't know what to say. I don't know whether to send him a copy of How to Be a Deviant Nun. Or do I just say, oh, spiritual yogi, there's so much I want to know. Anyway, I really have to go because my phone is going mental right now. And I have to take this. It's the Swedish nunnery.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Ishi, thank you. Well, I think we all feel so spiritually uplifted, and also we wish you all the best in the Swedish nunnery. Everyone, a big round of applause for Ishi Khan. Okay, so now this is quite serious now because we nearly didn't have this next subject with us tonight due to the action of a group of anti-vivisectionists led by his mum Sandra, who freed him from the laboratory. Fortunately for us, he was found in the fish pond at Dobby's Garden Centre yelling, "To freedom, my beauties!" to the goldfish. If the lawsuit is likely to be successful, as you give a huge pink dorsal fin to Chris Free Willy Ashworth.
whoa.
Thank you very much, Lizzie. Thank you very much, everyone. It's good to be here on the Backbone Comedy Experiment. If you don't know who I am, my name's Chris Ashworth. I'm from a little village in Northern Ireland called Macromorn. Now, you might be familiar with Macromorn if you were ever a fan of Game of Thrones. They used to film all the wall stuff out there, but they missed the trick hiring those Hollywood actors. If they wanted to make a TV show about incest and bigotry, they could have just released a spy drone into the village. I live in Scotland now, and when I first moved here, I moved to a town called Dundee. And when I got my flat, there was a great big crack down the bath, and the shower didn't work, and none of the doors shut right. But the landlord was kind enough to write "Welcome to Dundee" on the walls. And human shit. Did you know that during the Second World War, the British government airdropped Uncle Ben's boil-in-the-bag rice to the troops? However, they found this wasn't very effective, so they switched to bombs. Sliced bread was invented in Missouri in the 1920s, and it was the greatest thing. The Amazon River dolphin has a brain capacity that is 40% larger than that of a human, and yet they have invented fuck all. My dad is Scottish, and he likes to keep all traditions alive. He celebrates Burns Night, he wears a kilt, he left my mum, he drinks until he blacks out every night. The reason I moved over was it had been a bad year for my family. In fact, my granda had died. Now, you know when you wake up in the middle of the night, busting for a piss, and the first step you take out of bed is right onto an upturned plug, and all 3 pins dig deep into your soul. Well, that's how he died, except he stood on a landmine.
What?
My mum is Irish and actually in the crowd. My mum's Irish and very eccentric. In fact, recently she got WhatsApp. She's having a lot of fun with emojis. She doesn't really understand the meaning or context of any of them yet. Like, take the wink emoji. I'd only ever used that when I was trying to be flirty. So I just about closed my eyes out when I got a text from my mum that said, "I've got you something really special for your birthday, son." I was a very uncooperative teenager. In fact, one time I made my mum so angry that she called me a mistake in front of the whole family. Now, at the time, it hurt me, but now I'm okay with it because now I understand that in God's eyes, we are all mistakes. Speaking of God, did you know that the Pope is not allowed to be an organ donor because technically his organs belong to the Catholic Church, and upon his death, his body is interred so that the following Pope may eat him and gain his powers. To sound is to engage in a sexual practice that involves inserting objects into the urethra. To do this to a pregnant woman is called an ultrasound. Children, on average, ask 300 questions per day. Daddy, how old is Scooby-Doo? How many cars are there in the whole world? When are you coming back from the pub? Mummy's crying. Zoologists have proved that seals are capable of dancing to a beat, and yet there is still a ban on seal clubbing.
No.
Apples originated in Asia, the pie in medieval Europe, and the concept of putting apples in pies dates to 14th century England. So perhaps it is appropriate that the phrase "as American as apple pie" is used to describe the Statue of Liberty, constructed in France. The blue whale can consume 500,000 calories in a single mouthful. Same. The human liver can regrow itself completely in just 3 weeks. So why can't your hairline? According to the Murder Accountability Project, by using an algorithm that analysed unsolved murder cases, they estimate that there may be up to 1,000 active serial killers in the UK right now. So how come we always have to take my car? A human farts on average 14 times per day. I had always suspected I was above average. That's a fucking dumb one. The film Psycho is the first movie to depict the flushing of a toilet, unless you count my granda's homemade porn. Did you know that if you lay out all of a human's blood vessels end to end, you would be arrested? How come there is no Guinness World Record for drinking Guinness? Do you ever have a great idea right as you're on the verge of sleep? And then when you wake up, everyone's screaming and you've swerved off the road? Fred Bauer, the man who invented the Pringles can, had his ashes stored in one when he died. I really hope that didn't happen to the man who invented the condom. I used to live with my pal. We shared a flat in Belfast, but we would always argue. So we tried that thing from Friends. You know where they get duct tape? They tape off half the living room, then they flip a coin to see who gets what half. He is far luckier than me though, because he got the bottom half. The number one thing that couples argue about is money. Not me and my girlfriend though. We mainly just argue about the kid and how we're going to get it back to its parents. French fries were invented in Belgium, and the term French kiss was coined in England. In fact, the only thing we associate with France that was actually invented there is disappointment. Speaking of disappointment, there's no butter in buttermilk. There's no jelly in jellyfish. And don't even get me started on kumquat. Did you know that if you add up all of the numbers from 1 to 100 consecutively, you have autism? It takes 3 alligators to make just 1 pair of boots, but it only takes 1 alligator to ruin your birthday. Whenever I'm struggling at the gym, the rude sandstorm really helps me push through the wall. I fucking love glory holes. Experts say that an average session of sex burns 100 calories. That seems a little bit low to me. They obviously haven't counted the calories burned changing into my Spider-Man costume. Did you know that an African elephant only has 4 teeth? When I'm finished with it. Gary Newman is 13 days older than Gary Oldman. You're making me close now. All right, okay, real talk, serious. I hit a new low recently. I got rejected for a job. It was at a funeral director's, and it sent me on a downward spiral. Frankly, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I was going to kill myself, but I didn't want to give him the business. Anyway, that's all I've had time for. You've been lovely. I'll pass you back to your host, Professor Lizzie Black.
Oh,
I can't get over Gary Newman. Sorry. Right. That was just amazing and awesome. Chris Ashworth.
oh.
Woo! I'll pull myself together because this business of psychologically testing people is serious. Can I just say before I introduce on our next unfortunate, that if you do put your unmute so that we can hear you if you're laughing, unless you're watching Coronation Street or something, then stay on mute or whatever. But it is quite nice to hear you if you are finding it as amusing as I just did. So now,
I'm so proud of that now.
I love Gary Newman. I love Gary Albert. Aside from demonstrating, now this is true now, this is actually true, when we did this experiment, aside from demonstrating uncanny paranormal skills by correctly guessing the punchlines to all of Michael McIntyre's jokes, the case notes from our final laboratory animal indicate a disturbing level of enjoyment. We rigged the other comedians up to an electric charge and actually to turn the dial. And she said, does it go up to 11? We were shocked. So, for our final comedy experiment of the evening, please welcome to the stage Ashley. She's electric, got a family full of eccentrics. Good to
Whoa.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. In case you're wondering, the punchline to all of Michael McIntyre's jokes are, that's it. I apologize if it's hard to understand my accent, but I did grow up in Wolverhampton. Hard. I actually did live there for a little while, and that's why I can say Wolverhampton instead of Wolverhampton. And one of the problems that I ran into was people would come up to me and they would say, how do you say this? What do you say? What that thing that you look into that reflects your face? How do you say it? And I would be like, mirror. And they'd be like, no, you dummy, you dumb American, it's mirror. And now I've got that on my, I'm gonna have it on my tombstone. It's mirror. So thank you. My family, actually, I'm in New Jersey, east coast of the United States. My family actually came here from Poland. My great grandparents came here directly from Poland. And I went on ancestry.com and I found a photo of them, and they look just like me, except they're holding a turnip. Same thing. And turnips were bigger, but I like parsnips. They like turnips. Sometimes people are like, how much Polish ancestry did you have? And I'm like, well, my maiden name had a silent W. That should tell you. And it ended with something that rich people do in the wintertime on the mountain. Okay, your name was Ashley Snowboarding? Not that one. So I feel like everybody has different alarms that wake, like you probably do, right? You all have alarm. Y'all. Well, I'm not even from the South. Y'all got alarms? Thanks. Come on, represent your country, Ashley. Come on. So everybody's got like alarms that wakes them up in the morning, you know. And some people use like the you know what, that is the same sound that they play in horror movies. You know, I feel like there's a connection. People are like, I am not waking up to this anymore. This is crap. And then other people use the iPhone standard one that's like da 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 da. I think you've heard that. Maybe it's the American version. I don't which. The point is that we all have different alarms that we use. And I wake up to the same alarm every day, same one for several years, and it goes like this. Sort of sounds like tinnitus, you know. You can. So that song is called Reveille, and I mispronounce it a lot. I call it Reverie, but it's definitely not a party when you hear it at 6 a.m. It's not. So I listen to that every morning, and not because I love the sound of the bugle, though the bugle is one of the world's most beautiful sounding instruments. Second only to the bagpipes. Am I right? Bagpipes doing reveille. Sounds like Peter from Family Guy. So I live on a military base by choice. They don't make me. My hair was a clue. Look at that. Freedom hair. Tough. Looks like she'd say y'all with that hair. Can't believe I said y'all. So they blast that song. They blast Reveille every morning at 6 a.m. And it's because, like, there's a lot of traditions in the United States military. And it's tradition in the military to make sure that everyone wakes up annoyed. They're like, oh, you're feeling pretty good? Oh, okay. Let me play this song. And you might think, well, that's just a stupid song. Like, why would we do that? Well, here's the thing. It's really important because if you want to send people to war, you have to make them mad first. Gotta do it. We tried sending the happy ones. Didn't work. They just came back with duty free. You know? I got a giant Toblerone. What? You had a mission? Where is Saddam? It's got some unofficial words. They go, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. Yes, we know it's early. It's too jazzy. Not everybody works the same hours. It's not fair. You know, it's like, here's what I don't understand. We can trust our military to set bombs, but not alarms. Not hard to do it on an iPhone. What's the deal? I kind of like it though. You know, it makes me feel like I can do anything. And I love that. You know, I wake up feeling patriotic, you know, not a patriot. That's turned into a weird thing. You've seen us, you know. I'm embarrassed. It's not good. Don't watch the news. You know, I wake up, I feel patriotic. I ate 6 pancakes. I went back to bed. It's a big day. It's a big day. There's lots of songs in the military, and one might say too many. Like the only other jobs that have songs are when they sing happy birthday to you at TGI Fridays. Like, like happy birthday. Clap, 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 clap. Happy. Like, I hate this job. Why do we do that to waiters and waitresses? These poor people. I'm not doing it. So there's 3 main songs in any military day. There's Reveille, the national anthem, and Taps. Taps is also known in the UK as the last post, which I learned recently. Reveille is your alarm clock, right? They play it when they raise the flag in the morning, when those poor 18-year-old new recruits are out there just tugging on the flagpole, raising the flag, just going, why did I do this? I don't remember this scene from Call of Duty. Not the same. It's always the young kids too. You don't see the generals out there. They're in bed, you know. And then so the national anthem, that's played every day at 5 p.m. and it's when they lower the flag. It signals the end of the workday. I don't know if you are aware that we place a lot of our pride in flags in the United States. Have you guys heard? Have you heard the news? We like that flag. We do. We like it. They put it up when you go to work. They take it down when you're supposed to be done working. And if you're out and you hear the national anthem, it's sort of like if you're ever at a baseball game here, you put your hand over your heart, you face the flag, and you just stand there and listen. The thing is, you don't want to, if you're just like at your house on a military base and you're outside, you put your hand over your heart. Well, then you got to find a flag, right? And you're like, where's the flag? Where's the flag? And then you end up at your neighbor's Happy Easter flag. It's not the same. Is this the same? I don't think this is. I'm very patriotic towards the Easter Bunny. It's I don't know. It's great. So then there's taps, right? So taps is also heard. It's also called The Last Post, like I said. And it's just the most emotional song you'll ever hear. If you cry during Titanic, you don't have a chance with taps. It's so sad. Taps will wreck you. And I'm not going to play taps because it's a solemn song that should be respected. And there's no like formal military procedures. But if I play it, some people might stand up and salute, and no one should ever stand and salute a comedian. So taps is played at 10 p.m., which is a bedtime lullaby, if you will. And it goes. I'll play a little bit. It goes like this. Da, da, da. So they play that every night at 10 p.m. And here's the thing. It's also played at all military funerals. Now, not many songs are played at people's funerals that are also played to help them sleep. What's the deal here? Except for like My Way, right? That's people do that. I did it my Frank Sinatra's asleep. So that taps is the song that will be played at my husband's funeral. Oh, sorry. Sometimes people need me to repeat that. My husband's. Surprise! She's got a husband? No, that's a lie. Were you flabbergasted? Yeah, I can't believe it. I don't look at her hair. Look at that. Doesn't make any sense. My whole worldview has been shattered. So that's the song that will be played at my husband's funeral. Followed closely by Piano Man. So I'm not in the military. My husband is the one in the military. I just have the haircut for moral support. So every night when I go to bed, I listen to the same song that will be played solemnly at my husband's funeral while they slowly fold an American flag. Right? That's kind of weird. Don't you think? Don't you think that's kind of weird? Like, imagine saying to your wife or your husband, hey, before I go to bed, I'm going to listen to the song they're going to play when you die. Really helps me fall asleep. And he doesn't do that for me. He's not like, Ashley, I'm going to bed, but before I do, I'm going to listen to NSYNC's Bye, Bye, Bye. My husband qualifies to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery, which is the most prestigious cemetery in the United States. There's presidents that have been buried there. Not all of them. There's some. President Kennedy was buried there. And people are buried there that have Purple Hearts, that were prisoners of war, that devoted their whole lives to the United States military. And it's a place to be respected and honored. Now, here's the thing. Because my husband qualifies to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery, I also qualify to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. That's not right. That's not right. I am riffraff and they need to keep me out. Bury me outside the gate. I'm a silly goose. Why would you bury me next to a Kennedy? What would we have in common? I don't know. Riffs. We'd riff back and forth. What would we talk about? It's like I volunteer for the military, but that's not enough. Imagine somebody coming up to me that was like, oh, I can be buried at Arlington. I have a Purple Heart. And then I'm just like, oh, well, what's your section? Because I can be buried there too. Like, it sounds like you worked really hard, but all I did was bake somebody in the military cookies once. But first I had to convince someone to marry me, and that was the hard bit. That was the hard bit, but I stuck with it. And the thing is, I could be a total monster, and the only way that I become ineligible to be buried there is if I remarry. All right. So I will decline any future proposals on the basis of my eternal resting place. Sorry, it's a no, boys. Back down. Climbing down my gates. All right, everybody. My name is Ashley Gutermuth. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You've all been lovely. I hope to see you again soon.
Oh, that was brilliant. Massive round of applause for Ashley.
Oh.
Okay, so thank you all for taking part in the Backbone Comedy Experiment. It's been an awesome group of students, and thank you to our now very psychologically damaged comedians. Before we do go, let's have one final round of applause for Jimi Longmuir.
Oh.
Donna Landy.
Come from myself.
Ishi Khan. Chris Gary Newman Ashworth.
Oh.
And Ashley Gutermuth.
Oh.
Thank you all, and we'll leave open for a little bit longer if you all want to chat, but bless you all.